I shaped my tofu one time into those oval chicken breast looking things, and the kids had no idea what to do with themselves. It's funny because I never put, two and two together. Kids love dino shape this or favorite character shape that. Actually, as an adult, I kind of like, cool shaped things too. You see, my kids, they went from eating meat to not eating meat. So there wasn't no connection for, any need for the transition for them. So simply shaping things into items that they remember, like, they're so happy. Somewhat off topic, but not really. Either way, for parents, if you have kids that are not so adventurous with food, I know I was one of them, possibly just shaping your food into items that, resemble something they remember will make the difference. Today, we're making the famous Marry Me sauce, but with tofu. The typical way of making this dish involves actually using an oven. Due to outdoor temperatures, we're actually going to completely change this up and make it one pot. To get started, we're going to season our tofu cutlets. If you haven't been here before, welcome. We are all about flavor. I mean, even the seasoning gets seasoning on this channel. Now, of course, you could choose to use another source of plant protein, such as chickpeas or seitan, mushrooms, or even, a store-bought plant chicken substitute. Although, if you're choosing tofu, let's make sure you have it pressed and completely dry. This way, the spice rub will not only adhere to the surface, but also penetrate. Something I didn't do here, but I thought of after the fact, is you could do a, cross hatching on the tofu, and that will help the flavors get in there even more. Once we get our seasonings together, everything nice and mixed up, add it onto the tofu and use your hands to move it around from edge to edge. At this point, the tofu is gonna go into the resting stage, which is pretty much just off to a plate. Here, we're gonna give it a chance to marinate while basically pulling the rest of our ingredients together for the dish. I personally like to have all my things together prior to starting. Sometimes you can get cooking and for whatever reason you don't have all your ingredients together. Suddenly the recipe is just moving a lot faster than you can gather your ingredients into the skillet. Or everything is going perfect for the recipe while cooking, and then you suddenly go to look for something that you need and it's not where you expected it to be. It's mysteriously hiding. Baby whisk comes to mind in my scenarios. Not only that, this resting time is a good time to get your side together. Noodles, some rice, gnocchi. This recipe requires a large skillet. 12 inches should be good. Although, if you'd like to make this for only, you and someone else, let's call it dinner for two, then one block of tofu and a smaller skillet will get things going. Get the skillet on, get it to medium-high heat because we're looking to sear our tofu. I chose plant butter to get this one started. I'm going for that cheesy, buttery undertone effect. But you could also use olive oil, or if you're oil-free, no oil, and just some vegetable stock. Not sure I would go cast iron skillet and vegetable stock. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. I just picture a crowbar being used to pull your tofu off of the skillet. As we carefully get our blocks of tofu in, we're gonna give each side of the tofu about 1 to 2 minutes. Your timing doesn't have to be perfect because you could also flip it right back over if it's not the way you like it. I like to check. Use my spatula, pry it up a little bit, take a look, and if it's good, flip it right over. That ever so slight charring makes so much of a difference. Remove the cutlets. We're gonna set them aside, and as long as you have enough residual plant butter, you can move to the next step. If not, add what you need in order to get started, then get your garlic in there. Don't forget, lower your heat. Garlic can burn very quickly, and any of the other ingredients that's coming in right behind it. So we want our temperature, I would say right about like medium, or even hovering right about that simmer area. After the garlic, we're using that technique where we burn our spices. It's not literal, it's just a phrase. We're actually only heating up the spices. With your spices in, you want to use your spatula and move that around consistently. The process goes pretty fast. It's also good to have a little bit of vegetable stock or water in reserve. That way, if anything gets stuck, a little bit of water on there will literally deglaze it and get it right up. Tomato paste, sun-dried tomatoes in next. Stir everything together. You're gonna get something of like a crumbly looking roux going on. I guess maybe not crumbly, that kind of sounds dry, and it's far from dry. Carefully pour in your vegetable stock, coconut milk, lemon juice. Canned coconut milk is pretty thick, pretty fatty, so it helps make a really creamy sauce. Substitutions for this can be cashew cream, or maybe even another plant-based milk that's considered fairly thick, or on the more expensive side of things could be like plant-based yogurt. I almost forgot. White wine goes in here at this time, which if you need a substitute, you could just do more vegetable stock. Now, once you mix this around, it's just gonna start looking very saucy, and your goal is to simply make sure that this whole thing is homogeneous. Making sure this step is good prior to moving to the point where you're adding in your plant parm will help you avoid your sauce from breaking. That's just a term used to say your sauce is separated more than cohesive. So that time in between where you're mixing up your sauce is just gonna get that sauce warm all together. This way, when you add in your plant parm, it melts right into it and becomes part of the whole party. Another idea for a substitute here could be like using nutritional yeast rather than plant parm. The last of our ingredients going in is our spinach. Other great green options could be like kale or collard greens. Then we're delivering our tofu back into the sauce so everything can marry. About 20 minutes, you have this incredible Marry Me Tofu that is extra saucy, extra creamy, and extra delicious. Just make sure you have like a fence up, because you want to block people out from intruding on the dish prior to getting it to the dinner table. This full recipe can be found linked in the description or at my website, makeitdairyfree.com. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, believe in good. Peace.